black coffee.
This is the Kavoya Coffee Podcasting Network. Coffee people talking to coffee people about coffee and things coffee adjacent. This episode of Coffee Memo with Rob Stephen is brought to you by Kavoya Specialty Coffee, where coffee is always a collaborative voyage. Welcome to Coffee Memo with Rob Stephen, a podcast where we talk about coffee industry news and current events. This is episode 21, and the topic is, well, it's sort of a list. The things Rob heard and saw and said on a recent work trip around the world, to the left, the SCA today, potential decaf regulations, eyes on our long-standing free trade agreements with Mexico and Canada, and, of course, the market. Please note this was recorded on July 2nd, and we've had one full, and we might say active trading day since then, so adjust your roller coaster parameters accordingly. So, Rob, I'm generally don't like to describe something as a potpourri. But we've got at least four.
Can you spell that?
No. We've got at least four topics we wanted to cover. And if you don't use essential oils, potpourri generally has four ingredients. So I don't think I can help but use the description potpourri for this episode.
Could use cornucopia.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, let's see. It's been a while. It's been a hot minute since we've done a coffee memo. And that's because I have been on a 3.5-week trip literally around the world to the left.
To the left.
To the left. I will recite my itinerary. It started here in Providence, went to New York City, went to San Francisco, and then up to our office in Healdsburg, back to San Francisco to go to Tokyo, and then to Athens via Munich, and then Paris, Lyon, and Brussels, and then home via Istanbul.
Yikes.
So, and my flight home, I had to go back through New York because my Boston flight was delayed and then take the train home. So it was crazy.
Planes, trains, and automobiles.
Yes, and many subways as well. So I took this 3-week trip around the world, and it was all coffee related. It was all work stuff. Saw a lot of things and learned a lot of things, and I thought it would be great to just sort of talk through them. And
you talked to a lot of people who have a lot of different points of view on the coffee industry.
I did. So let's start with Tokyo. So I was in Tokyo for what our parent company calls Coffee Meet, which is not a flavor of barbecue, but it is a big meeting of all of the senior leaders of our own global coffee industry. So just inside of OFI or Olam. It happens like every 4 or 5 years, and they always do it someplace where we can have a little bit of fun and talk about the business and talk about where we want to go and all that kind of things. And this was a really sort of bittersweet one because a lot of the people who founded our coffee business are retiring. And so a bunch of people, including the global CEO of our coffee division, his last day was the other day. Yeah. And so it was really interesting to hear people sort of talk about their 35, 40-year careers in coffee and all the things that they learned. It was also really sad and a little bit scary to realize that after those people go,
We're next.
Yeah. I always have that feeling of like there has to be somebody more adultier than me.
Yeah.
But my reflection on that was that they were talking a lot about what was driving the business forward. And I did a presentation on sort of what specialty is, and my angle of my presentation was that, I made analogies of a specialty coffee trading business to what Formula One is to the automotive industry, or what like Chanel is to the fashion industry. Like, you start things there. It's not a lot of volume, but then it turns into the real thing for, sort of the mass spectrum thing. And it was 100% evident in what was going on. I mean, it's like all of the things that 25 years ago were just the purview of specialty are now spread across all these consumer brands.
Right.
Things like traceability started in specialty. Farmer ID started in specialty. Talking about single origin, talking about all these kinds of things. It started as passion output from people who started the specialty business, and now it's super mainstream. So that really sort of struck me to be at a meeting of people who run a fairly large coffee business, and to see that, most of what we're doing today was really only in specialty 15 years ago.
Right.
So then it makes you look forward. and go, what are we doing now that will be mainstream in the future? It reminded me of the sort of ever-changing nature of innovation. Everyone was talking about AI. It wasn't clear to me what we're doing now that will be the new thing going forward, because there was just a lot of it's kind of exciting. If you like chaos leading to order, it's exciting. But if you're sort of like, what's the through line? It was a little bit nerve-wracking.
I'm wondering if we ever know.
Yeah.
I mean, I remember the keynote speaker for SCA in the year 2000 telling us as an industry that the specialty coffee segment was way ahead of the curve on sustainability. So unless someone on the outside sort of tells you, do we ever know?
Oh, we're 100% too close to it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I find it interesting. Like, we do a lot of podcasts with our customers who are still on the front lines of everyday specialty, handing cups of coffee to customers they know, kind of thing. And I feel like that's where you have to keep your ear to the ground, because that's where it's going to come from. Well, I went from there. I went to Greece. I've got a client there that I've known for more than 15 years now.
Yeah.
And they became friends of mine back when I was a Q instructor, and they were two of them were in my class. And through that, we became friends. And then so I became someone who is able to work with them on their supply chain. And so I had a really nice dinner with their CEO and their head of marketing, who both were their brothers, and they're good friends of mine. And it was one of those things where they've been in coffee for a long, long, long time, and they have a very successful business, and they have lots of coffee shops. And they were kind of, I don't know what's the word, like they were dealing with almost like a disillusionment of having spent 15 years in marketing Greece, holding the highest standards. Brutal on quality approvals and brutal on marketing correctly and roasting correctly and brewing correctly and doing all these things correctly, and just feeling like it's a never-ending battle against entropy and against the next hot thing, and fruity customized drinks, and it's sort of like trying to keep it about the coffee. And we really thought we could get people there, but the way the consumer is moving is sort of like, ooh, shiny thing. They hadn't lost heart. It was just more of like it made me think back to 10, 15 years ago when we all thought everyone's going to come along on this journey.
Yeah.
Everyone's going to hold the line on quality, and we're going to be really high integrity and earnest about this, and everyone's going to pick it up, and everyone's going to get it. And it just reminded me that it's a lot harder than that.
So you're talking about the idea that if we stay focused on quality, we can't lose?
Yeah.
And starting to feel like,
sure you can.
Yeah, if this is winning.
Yeah, I mean, I was really encouraging them not to give up the fight, but I think there is an element of, when times get tough and the economy's bad everywhere. I mean, I really saw that in Europe, that the economy is struggling, and it's people have choices to make all the time, and it's hard to educate people who aren't interested, and it's hard to educate people who have other priorities.
Yeah,
and so I think what I got out of that was the specialty industry is really going to have to innovate the way that it speaks to consumers, especially when they're in the consumer business as opposed to the customer business. And what I mean by that is more and more companies, as they've grown and been successful, have moved up their production capacities, moved up their capital needs, and suddenly they have all this need for cash flow and volume, and they get into larger and larger production and larger wholesale and bigger clients. And suddenly that puts pressure on what kind of business they're doing.
Yeah.
Right. And so suddenly to keep your specialty business afloat, you find yourself doing coffees that you didn't think you'd do 5 years ago. And I think that's got a lot of founders and coffee people re-examining their sort of thoughts on coffee.
Yeah. Existential angst.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's interesting, because I absolutely see why people are doing that business. They have to.
Yeah.
But it sort of falls into the category of this is not what I signed up for. I saw a lot of that as I was going through Europe. I saw a lot of brands that are in places that I'm very sure that the founders didn't think they would be when they started it.
Yeah.
And it's just sort of this evolving nature of as things move from specialty into mainstream, this is what happens.
Yeah.
And then they get acquired and they get taken over by people who don't have any connection to what it really was when it started. And then people say, oh, this company isn't like it used to be. It's because it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we know these stories. We know them well.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was good for me to get out and sort of see it, and to see it happening with sort of a European flavor, because I've always thought European consumers were a little more sophisticated. And they are, I think, on aspects of sustainability. I think the European consumer on average is more fluent with how sustainability works than the American consumer. But I think a lot of them are looking at the menu from right to left and not so much about what might be the best coffee experience that I could have.
Right. Yeah, we spend a lot of time mostly in the exchange with Mark and Todd. I think what we're doing a lot of the time is trying to make people not feel guilty about having to have a successful business and some of the decisions you have to make, which we would frame as creative sometimes,
Yeah.
Do the Europeans feel more guilty about having some commercial grades in their lineup, or?
Yeah. I didn't get guilt as much as I got disillusionment.
Yeah. Resignation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, we have to do this, but we don't have to like it, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And so from there, I went on to SCA show in Brussels. So it's the European version of the specialty coffee show. And every time I go to SCA, and I know that you know this really well, Mike, because you used to work for them, that the excitement that was in the electric excitement that was in the air 15, 20 years ago, it's completely evaporated.
Yeah.
Right. Now, it's not to say that the new people in the industry aren't completely excited by it. And, even our team, when they go to SCA, they're like really excited to go. It's just that it's no longer this one room where all the things are happening.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's become a place where people are talking about collectively what's happening outside those walls. And so I think, as people who have gone into this sort of these extensions of their business into the strange parts of the forest, when they come back to the SCA, they're reminded of what it was that they wanted to be doing. So it was just really interesting to see the evolution, and it reminded me as a coffee trader that every coffee has a home, and sometimes the value we can bring is to show people how they can do what they want to do and what they need to do, and sort of put a firewall between them.
Yeah.
Right. Like, okay, we have to have this conversation over here, and then we can go wash our hands, and then we can come back
and cup some coffee.
Yeah. And talk about the real stuff, right?
Yeah.
And while I was in Brussels, there was a board meeting of the Specialty Coffee Association, which I'm a member of, and it was interesting to me also. Mark and I were on the board when it was the Specialty Coffee Association of America, and now post-merger, it's a different thing, and it really is mirroring that growth. There's a lot of politics around how people feel about the SCA, and I don't need to get into it one way or the other. But what is interesting to me is that the association is mirroring what's happening with the industry, which is that it's becoming less of a passion project and hobby thing, and much more of a large consumer-facing company kind of thing. So the players change, the priorities change.
Yeah, I say that when it comes to the SCA, that the rebels move into the palace.
Yeah, and that's it, right? It's pretty nice here. Yeah. Let's close the doors. And it becomes a lot more about things like influencing policy. I'm learning a lot about the inner workings of how origin country coffee associations work. And it's been interesting to see that they're more and more willing to work together on things that, they realize they're all in the same boat.
Yeah.
And that it's big business, and that they have access to markets, and they have access to influence things. And really what I'm interested in is the nexus of where that helps the most vulnerable in their countries. I see varying levels of success and effectiveness on that, without calling out anybody. But it's just there's lip service and then there's real action. The interesting thing about sitting in that room is you get to see a lot of it sort of playing out. I was happy to go home. I was in Europe during that heat wave. I was in Paris. It was 114 degrees at 10 o'clock at night.
Jeez.
Yeah. And
that's crazy.
If you've ever been there, it's a wonderful place, but not a lot of air conditioners. People literally jumping into fountains and going, yeah, I don't care that there's algae in here.
Yeah. Gosh.
So that was my around the world trip. And, as Rick Steves likes to say, the benefit of traveling is you get a change perspective. I came back to two pieces of news that I thought were worth talking about. both of which fall into the categories of things that may happen but haven't yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the news put them on people's radar. So, so the first one is that there has been an ongoing comment period on a proposed regulation by the FDA to ban methylene chloride, which is banned in most foods, but is still allowed use as a solvent in the decaffeination process.
Right.
So methylene chloride is a fairly common product in the decaf world. We sell some of it. It's very much used commercially, right? And there's a lot of plants that use that as the primary method. So,
known as the European method.
Right. Exactly. And so, someone filed a petition. Their argument was there's a clause in food regulation policy called the Delaney Clause. And it basically says if it's been found to be carcinogenic, you can't allow it in food. Once you found that conclusively, you have to ban it. So their argument was the Delaney Clause has been triggered. Why are you still allowing this? And NCA, who is very much a sort of lobbying agency on behalf of the coffee industry, filed a 96-page response, and which I did not read all of it, but Copilot did. And,
heavy on science.
Yeah, heavy, a lot of footnotes kind of thing. And it boils down to, if you read the law, it says that if it's carcinogenic by ingesting it, yes, that triggers the Delaney Clause. This is only found carcinogenic by inhalation. And also the decaf process is below what the FDA has said is tolerance for just being present on anything. And then there's 2 kill steps between that. There's roasting and brewing, both of which are over 40 degrees Celsius, which destroys it.
Literally no longer there.
Yeah. Right. Now, the people who filed the petition said we've done plenty of tests on decaf coffee and found some, yes, under the limit, but your argument that it's destroyed doesn't hold up. I don't know if that's been peer reviewed. I don't know if that's people are handpicking results or what. So all I know is that there are 3 possible outcomes. Comment period is now closed. And so there's 3 possible outcomes. And one is that they'll just say, we want to keep looking at it and just kick the can down the road. And I would say that's probably the most likely thing to happen. The second one would be, we're not going to ban it, but we're going to look at it more closely. We might do more testing. We might ask a lot more questions, those kinds of things. And then the third one might be, all right, we agree that this clause has been triggered, but we have to assess impact on food supply, and we have people who are already doing it, and what's the phase-out plan, and who can we grandfather, and all that kind of stuff. And so I think the long and the short of it is that no one should be thinking that this decaffeination method is going to disappear tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's just more of like it might become the kind of thing that more and more of the media ask about as attention has been focused on it. It was lumped in with 3 other cancer-causing elements, and some of them I was surprised to use or found are used in other aspects of food production. And the other ones looked a lot more menacing than this one. There's one that looked pretty bad. And it was like, it's the Environmental Defense Fund. It was like a consortium of groups that's what they do.
Yeah. And none of whom are, all of whom seem to be good groups. I mean, there's no, it doesn't feel like there's underlying politics that we don't know about or anything like that. There always is, but
I'm always glad that someone is out there questioning the man. And so I think the process should go like that. The question is how are the decisions being made?
Yeah. Bottom line is you're telling everybody to sit tight.
Sit tight. Yeah. Yeah. And this, for me, this is one of those things where science doesn't care what your agenda is. It's like the data is the data. It's just about how we interpret it. So we'll see. Cooler heads may or may not prevail. And then the last one, which is very much in the similar sort of we'll see category, is this recent development with the USMCA. So USMCA stands for United States, Mexico, Canada Agreement. It's been in place for a while. It is a trade agreement between the three nations, and it basically allows much easier cross-border trade, reduction in customs paperwork, elimination of tariffs, which was one of the things that allowed Mexico to import tariff-free even during the tariff crisis. It has just generally smoothed trade between the 3 countries. And so, as an importer, there's a green coffee importer, there's 2 areas where three areas really where it affects us. One is that we buy coffee from Mexico. And so the importation of that coffee has been so smooth that often we can put it on a truck.
Yeah.
Right? And just drive it over the border kind of thing. And the second one is that we sell green coffee into Canada. And that could be subject to the import laws of Canada, where they're currently protected from the agreement. Could be tariffs, could be duties, could be all sorts of sort of holdups. And then the third one, which a lot of people wouldn't think of, is that quite often we take coffee from our inventory in the U.S., send it to Vancouver for decaffeination, Swiss water decaffeination, and then bring it back. And because it's a product transformation, you don't have to deal with the taxes and stuff. But if that goes away, that could have a pretty good impact on the availability of spot decaf. So, but similar to this FDA thing, nothing's going to happen anytime soon.
Right.
They just agreed that they would not automatically renew the policy; they would review it every year. It's one of those headlines that can make you think, "Uh-oh, we're in trouble." Yeah,
this is a long-standing free trade. Yeah. I think it goes back to the Clinton administration.
Yeah. Many elections this has been a talking point, whether it should have been done or should not have been done. But the fact is that just like with what's going on in the coffee market, certainty helps stabilize things. And if you are very clear on what the rules are going to be, you can do more business, you can do better business. And if you're unsure about what the rules are going to be, that introduces risk, prices go up for everybody. So that's the kind of thing where it's like another instability introduced into how business is working.
Which we don't need.
And then I think the last one I want to talk about was the market.
The market?
The market.
What about the market?
What about the market? Which was going down, as I indicated it might. And then, but I also believe I said something about all sorts of volatility possible. And boom, jump back up another 40, 50 cents, right? So I think if you are looking at your fixation strategy and 230, 240 worked for you, and you didn't pull the trigger. This is another data point to put on your notepad.
That's a polite way of putting it.
Yeah, I'm never going to say that phrase, but nobody likes it when you say that phrase.
No, they don't.
I'm sure there's a lot of ink been spilled on what's going on in the market, but ultimately there's going to be plenty of coffee here. It's just not here yet.
Yeah,
and the market's just reacting to that.
And we have coffee on the way.
We have so much coffee on the way. We have a fire hose of coffee on the way. Although I will say that as I look at our reports, most of the coffee that's on the way is fully sold.
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's people have moved their buying forward to the origin level, and that is one of the hallmarks of a very tight supply market. You got to get it before it gets here.
Yeah, makes sense.
Anything on your mind, Mike?
No, I'm just getting a little warm.
It's warm in here.
Yeah, we have to turn off the air, and it's like 100 degrees outside. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to go home and recover from jet lag after this. But
okay.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Rob. You've been listening to Coffee Memo with Rob Stephen, part of the Kavoya Coffee Podcasting Network, where the executive producer is me, Mike Ferguson. Our theme music is Jealous Dogs by The Pretenders. Jealous Dogs. That might be a good band name. Nah.
Black coffee.
If you've enjoyed this or any show on the Kavoya Coffee Podcasting Network, please do all the things. Like, subscribe, review, don't keep us a secret, and take our listener survey at the link in the show notes. Finally, remember two things. You can email me with thoughts, ideas, kind words, and limericks at mike.ferguson@kavoya.com. And Black Coffee is performed by the one, the only, Ella Fitzgerald.
Rambling.
This has been a CCPN production.